A rivalry forged online, on sales charts, and even sometimes in real life. Call of Duty and Battlefield at this point are staples of first-person shooter comparisons. A war of military shooters, if you will. The gaming community always seems to be very opinionated on this divisive issue year after year, especially with the fall of competition amongst military shooters. You know, because they don't quite measure up. Medal of Honor. Your typical gamer of one has at least some experience with both, but has chosen one over the other over the years for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's the game their friends play. Maybe they prefer the speed or scope of the gameplay over the other. Maybe you started with one and moved on to the other. Whatever the case, if you play one, you probably played just one of them, and according to what we hear on the internet, the one you don't like is hot garbage. These two communities don't historically get along, and whichever you like, it's the answer for you. Now, with Call of Duty having some issues the past couple of years, its dominance isn't as certain nowadays. Call of Duty is rehashing more of the same for a record 97th year in a row, whilst Battlefield is going back, further than any installment thus far, and taking a bit of a risk and introducing many people to a war they might not have known existed, World War I. This year's installment of Call of Duty is being developed by Infinity Ward, the developer that has given us such nightmares as Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Call of Duty Dumpster Fire. Ghosts. The studio has taken a few missteps to say the least, and is trying to entice gamers with the memory of times past, with Modern Warfare Remastered in its Legacy Edition. So in other words, if you don't want to play Infinite Warfare, you'll have to pay an extra $20. But in case you want to play something new, or you don't want to pay 20 extra bones to die to Juggernaut MP5 all day, the main attraction, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, includes a new campaign, yet another new zombies-esque game mode, and of course, the meat and potatoes, the multiplayer. Now, this installment of Call of Duty got off to a rocky start since it was even announced, with many people making sure it was the most disliked Call of Duty trailer ever. However, what nobody ever mentions is that it's also the most liked Call of Duty trailer as well, so these ratings don't clearly reflect gamers overall as well as some have played them out to be. Many COD fans are displeased to see yet again we have a futuristic Call of Duty in space with lasers and exosuits and endless jumping and wall running. Ironically, gamers around the release of Modern Warfare 1, 2, and Black Ops were absolutely begging developers for a future COD in space with lasers and exosuits. However, now that gamers have gotten a taste of that for the past 3 installments from all 3 COD developers, none of them made it work, and the hardcore COD fanbase has been looking back to times when Call of Duty wasn't all about chain movement and jumping to the tallest building and shooting down at the scrubs below. You see, what might be Call of Duty's detriment is listening to their fans too much. Quite often, fans don't know what they want, and as a result, we have a COD with almost exclusively small maps, perfect for spawn killing, explosions, and easy, even free score streaks, fast and easy sniping, and a nuke. They gave the people what they said they wanted, yet much of the community seems to be very vocal that this is indeed not what they wanted. So clearly, the COD community doesn't agree on some things. Just look at the subject of quickscoping. You either think it's the best or worst thing ever. Personally, it doesn't matter, let's be honest. Infinite Warfare basically takes some of the more contentious aspects of the past Call of Duties and makes a new game all their own, with the jumping and pay-to-win guns of Advanced Warfare and the class system of Black Ops 3, or rigs, with even more bonuses than just a free mega weapon a few times a game. Battlefield, on the other hand, has ditched what has worked for them in favor of something a little different, leaving the battlefields of modern soldiers, cops, or robbers, and going to World War I. While some may have seen nothing wrong with the past few iterations of Battlefield, many have shown appreciation for a new setting. Tackling World War I was a bit of a risk, but with no real FPS covering the setting before, they had room to establish its first showing from a AAA developer on a modern engine. After the advent of the modern military shooter emulating the success of Saving Private Ryan, the shooter genre was established within World War II across Call of Duty, Battlefield, and many more. After gamers got a bit tiresome of the same settings with the same guns fighting the same enemy, the military shooter genre went to the present, with Middle Eastern engagements and fictional conflicts established within the present or near future world. Call of Duty decided to go further into the future, while Battlefield went the opposite direction, however with a few historical inaccuracies in favor of a more dynamic, varied, and cinematic experience. While the setting and technologies may have changed, the roles and abilities of each class have not changed across Battlefield for the most part. You still have tanks and snipers and destructible environments like no other, but instead of motorcycles and jets, you have horses and biplanes. While Battlefield 5 would have been a welcome addition to the franchise, many see the move to the past as a breath of fresh air, and the timing may be the best thing the game has going for it, outside of the staple fun experience that is Battlefield. Battlefield has foregone the more realistic modern warfighter approach for the grittier flashback to the days of yore, with gas grenades, towns being turned to rubble, and giant war blimps and war trains? Hey, at least they look pretty. With the turn of the past conflicts, we not only have difference in how the battles are fought compared to the setting of Infinite Warfare where you fight robots, but we have a different tone and color palette, with more muted and drab colors mixed in with explosions that the modern gaming society has passed over in favor of fun, bright colors. You know, just like real war. Still, the same Battlefield game at its core, we get most of the same modes and classes, each fulfilling the same role as they did in Battlefield games past, with different equipment, mostly with the same functions and varying effectiveness to keep things interesting. As far as weapons, we don't see as much variation amongst weapon platforms that we had in Battlefield 4 or Hardline, where we had the gambit of attachments to choose from. A much less modular stable of guns are at our disposal this time, however with variations of guns instead of attachments like we're used to, but with key small differences to how the weapons perform. So which game is going to win this year? It's more of an interesting question this time around given what has transpired recently. The Call of Duty franchise has seen a decline year over year in sales until last year's Black Ops 3, where sales saw a dramatic increase. However, this can be explained as this installment was developed by the pinnacle Call of Duty developer, Treyarch, the gold standard of COD developers, and many hardcore fans saw this as the potential for a first step forward in a long time, and gamers are less keen to trust Infinity Ward that has seen less and less trust from the COD fanbase in both thoughts of the game as well as sales. Battlefield, on the other hand, has garnered attention with something new in the World War I setting, as well as the fact that this is the first Battlefield game developed solely for the current generation of consoles and PCs. Sales are looking quite amazing for Battlefield 1 right out of the gate, selling more copies in the first week than Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline did combined. However, Call of Duty did see a resurgence last year, with Black Ops 3 selling significantly better than Ghosts or Advanced Warfare, which were still the second and best-selling games of their year. While this obviously doesn't spell bad news for the next Call of Duty, the contributing factors to Black Ops 3's success might not drive the same for Infinite Warfare for reasons previously stated. There's also the added factor of Modern Warfare Remastered, for which you must buy and own Infinite Warfare to play, and for returning Call of Duty veterans, this might be enough for the $80 price tag. By no means will most Infinite Warfare copies be the Legacy Edition for COD 4, it is nonetheless a factor in both physical and digital sales across all platforms. So, who is going to come out on top? Now this is merely a question of numbers here. As far as the better game goes, that is subjective, and many people before release have made up their minds for one of many reasons, starting with brand loyalty. How we personally view these games or what review scores they get is inconsequential, especially when it comes to multiplayer shooters of this caliber. We need only to look at the past and where things are trending to get our answer, and believe me, the winner isn't going to be Titanfall 2. When it comes to the contentious battle between Battlefield and Call of Duty, this year we aren't going to see something crazy. The winner will be Call of Duty. Regardless about how you feel about either franchise or game, the answer will stay the same. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare will sell more copies than Battlefield 1. And no, it's not because of Modern Warfare Remastered or the fact that World War I was too long ago. Those things don't factor into the answer very much. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was the best-selling game in the world last year, and as always, did it in less than 2 months. And Call of Duty Advanced Warfare took the 10th spot last year as well. Whether Infinite Warfare sells as well as Black Ops 3 or Battlefield 1 sells more than Battlefield 4 or Hardline isn't the issue here. Call of Duty has the numbers, the fan base, the influence, the advertising budget, the celebrity, endorsements, and casting, the history of selling the most copies of any game 5 out of the last 6 years, with the lone defeat being Grand Theft Auto 5. The immense popularity of Call of Duty multiplayer does fluctuate from year to year, but remains always on top with just sheer volume. The broad appeal of Call of Duty's multiplayer is seen wide across many different markets, different age groups, and different platforms. COD may be a shadow of its former self in the quality of the games, the longevity of the games, and maybe even the sales, but COD is still the best selling. Maybe Infinite Warfare will be good, maybe it'll be bad, maybe it'll just be okay. Maybe Battlefield 1 is better, or comparable, or not your cup of tea. Regardless, the answer of who wins is Infinite Warfare.